There it is. Okay. Cool. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. What happened? And the light. Oh. Dave? I don't know. Does this work? Okay, so.
It's just little.
I think it's back there. Derek, can you hit the front light? So we're gonna just spend some time in this. We're running out of time, so I don't want to try to deal with this too much. Otherwise, we'll just open our Bibles. But let's read in verse 15. If you really can't see it, it's chapter 14, verse 15 that we're starting.
Which one?
Chapter 14. Chapter 14, verse 15. Okay, so it says, when one of those at the table with him heard this, he said to Jesus, "Blessed is the one who will eat at the feast in the kingdom of God." And then Jesus replied. So this is kind of picking up a mid-conversation. But the point is in the story from the parable that Jesus gives, so I just wanted to kind of jump right to the parable. Jesus replied, "A certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who had been invited, 'Come, for everything is now ready.' But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said, I have just bought a field and I must go and see it. Please excuse me." Another said, "I have just bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm on my way to try them out. Please excuse me." Still another said, "I just got married, so I can't come." The servant came back and reported this to his master. Then the owner of the house became angry and ordered his servants, "Go out quickly into the streets and alleys of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled and the blind and the lame." Verse 22, he says, "Sir," the servant said, "What you have ordered has been done, but there is still room." Then the master told his servant, "Go out to the roads, to the country lanes, and compel them to come in, so that my house will be full. I tell you that not one of those who are invited will get a taste of my banquet." Now, that's a whole lot of strong stuff in there, right? So, of course, like any class, we're gonna have some interaction here. So, verse 16. Let's back up. So, context. Somebody want to kind of give us a summary of the context of the story? That's based on what we're in. Sorry, say again? Somebody's having a really big dinner. Right? So, if we think about this, right, God's having this big dinner. Right? Okay, great. What's the status of that dinner?
Well, really, it's talking about the kingdom of God and how a lot of people are invited, and most of those who are invited ain't coming.
Right. So, but yeah, look, we're going to get there. But let's just work through this because there's some jewels along the way to get there. That's true. But let's work. There's some jewels along the way, right? So, there's this big plan, right? Because this guy's been working on this for a while, right? He's done some preparation. Right? And we can tell because, as he says at the end of verse 17, he says, "Everything is now ready." That meant, when we say it's now ready, that means there was a time when it probably wasn't ready yet, right? So now it's ready. Okay? Preparations are done. Think about your own party. Right? Hey, you're having this really big thing. Okay, maybe you're having a wedding or something else, right? You have all the tables set out and have everything all set up. Well, when you're having that big thing, what do you need? Some guests. Hey, come on, folks. Okay, I'm going to send out some invitations. So he does that. Verse 18, what happens? Excuses. Excuses. Now, I find that strange, though. If you think about it in the context of just So, what I want us to think about, and that's very true, right? One of the things we've talked about for years is that the reality is people don't change a whole lot. The technology around them changes, but people tend to stay the same. They still do the same stuff.
I was telling Melissa, it's like when you have, like you said, you're getting married, and you send out invitations, and you want to respond, like our VSP,
Right.
and you get some not that.
Did anybody plan anything recently and send out invitations or say, hey, maybe an email or what is it, the text, or they put some stuff on Facebook and they say, hey, I want to invite a bunch of people? What would you say the percentage of RSVPs that you get in time of what you said? Hey, I need an answer by. What would you say? 50% maybe? Right? Everybody got to. What was that?
Guaranteed somebody will fail to, let you know. What
It's a guarantee that somebody will not respond. Right. So, well, this was pretty interesting. So we have this big event, right? And when I think about it, I say, okay, what if we dig a little bit and look? We say, why were they making excuses not to come? They knew something about this pastor. Maybe there was something, there was a catch. Right, maybe there was a catch. Why? If I go, do I have to give a wedding gift?
Maybe they were going to be inconvenienced in some way.
What was that?
Maybe they were going to be inconvenienced.
Oh, very good, right? So they start to catch some implication, right? Probably it's going to mean there's a bit of inconvenience that comes along with this, right? What else? How about, let's because we don't have a lot of time. So, verse 18. First thing we notice is the beginning, all started making excuses, right? When you don't do what all that you're supposed to do, the first thing, it was interesting. I took a class at work, and one of the things they talk about personalities and just character and your state of being. The people who have kind of immature characters, the first answer when something goes wrong is, let me tell you my excuse. It was somebody else. It was somebody else's fault. It was somebody else's problem. It was, let's just say it's not me. I don't know why it went wrong, but it's just not me. But they all began to make excuses. So let's go to the first one. The first one said, I have just bought a field and I must go and see it. How does that, can you relate to that at all? Like, think about excuses that you might have made about stuff. Can you relate to that one at all? Because most of us haven't really gone out and bought a field anytime recently. What kind of category is that, Brent?
It doesn't sound a little right to me, because he just bought a field. Didn't he see the field before he bought it, or he'd seen it active before?
Right? Very good, right? So, the excuses when we start to analyze them, they're a bit weak, right? Like most excuses, they're weak, right? There's some problems in the excuse, but we tend to say it anyway, right? But what can you relate to that kind of falls in that category? What kind of thing might we hear today? Because we're going to hear a whole bunch of agricultural type of things back then, right? But how might that sound?
I just bought a house, I'm moving in, or whatever, something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
I just bought something, I bought a house, I bought this thing, I got to go pick it up,
Got a new car.
got a new car,
I don't have nothing to wear. I don't have a new outfit.
Right.
It's banquet.
right? So, immediately we start to say, okay, I have now stuff. What was that? I have obligations, right? And the way I like to look at excuses, if you notice what they were saying, they said, excuse me. Somewhere here they say, excuse me. I can't come. Oh, verse 18 and 19, right? Excuse me. Always think of excuse me as excuses for me. Right? Where the first thing is I have some stuff. I just bought it. I really need to take care of it. I need to protect it. I need to do whatever I need to do with my stuff. I always find it fascinating, especially on Sunday. Well, I couldn't come because I had to fix this X, Y, Z thing in my house. What's the problem with that kind of excuse? Because it could be a real leak. It could be like, well, I had this leak, I had this leak that happened, I had to fix it on, you know.
It happens.
Huh?
Stuff happens.
Stuff happens, right? But what's generally the problem with it?
It's on a Sunday, it should be a worship.
But you know, a leak could be pretty important. What's usually if we kind of categorize it in that way, you know, that it has flaws in it, what's usually the problem with the leak? What's wrong with the excuse about the leak or the thing that you got to fix on Sunday?
I think you couldn't fix it that.
What was wrong with Saturday? Well, Saturday I was, you know, well, what about Friday? Well, on Friday I was, you know.
I didn't think the loop was that bad.
What's the missing element out of what's the missing problem with the excuse? Lack of,
Necessity?
you know, lack of importance, right? You know, but preparation. Like, well, I saved it for Sunday at 9:30 because I really didn't want to use up any of my other time.
A quick point. I think you have to also think about the way the world views Sunday now. Sunday is a day for catching up on news and politics, having your brunches, your breakfast in bed, and Wall Street Journal all day.
Right.
It's me time, sports time. It just has a whole different connotation. So people in the world are not, if they're not religious, they're not thinking about, I gotta get up and go to church, you know? They're
Right.
thinking about, I gotta get up and catch up on all the things I didn't get to for the week. So,
Yeah, and you know, in the world that we live in, everything's pulling on our priorities.
Whether someone's Christian or not, like on Sunday when I was a kid, nothing was open. No stores at all. Made a bakery in the morning. That was
That's right,
it.
yeah.
2010, I was in Trinidad for a church show. When it was a Sunday, my God, where can we go? Regular stores or like,
Right, you still see a little bit of history in the other countries where the U.S. has kind of degraded its value. But one of the things that I think we're all touching on this one point, which is, if you ever use the excuse, and I'm going to say it as an excuse, I don't have time. Right? You ever say that? I just don't have time. But if you think about it, unlike money, every single one of us get a check every day. We get a check for 24 hours. Right? We get a check for 24 hours every single day, as long as we get out of bed. God gives us life, right? We get a check for 24 hours. Then we have to ask ourselves, well, what am I doing with my 24 hours? Well, I'm going to sleep some of those. Necessity, right? What about if we just say 8 hours, right? And then you get 8 hours of sleep, most people don't, but you got another 16. What's made up of that other 16? And then you say, well, if I have 16 hours, and you know, we multiply that times 7 days a week, we say, how much of that is used for God? How much of it? How much time do I think about God during that time? How much time do I pray? How much time do I actually spend reading my scriptures? As we jump to the bottom, how much of that do I actually spend inviting some other folks to the banquet? Right? You quantify that whole thing, and you know, do your own calculation in your own head. But think about if you summed it all up at the end of the week, and you had like, you ever see those pie graphs that kind of break things up into how much is what? If you took God's sliver of time, you know, this is all your time, this is your whole, some of that 24 hours was going to be sleep. And then what's that other 16 of the pie? Some sliver of that, small or big, is going to be God's. It's going to be God's sliver. And it might be really small slice. It might be a big slice. It might vary day to day, right? Some days you might spend more time on less, right? But the idea is that you do have time. Now the key is, what we really should be saying is, well, I have this to do, and I have that to do. And it doesn't always have to be to do with God directly, but sometimes it's, I have two different things that have priorities in my life, right? And sometimes it's, hey, I can go sit in front of the TV for, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever that is, right? And then, or I can fix the dishwasher, or I could bathe the children, or I could, right, and all these, that had things on my list, but, right? But I have all these things. In the end, I'm going to say, I'm going to choose this thing is more valuable right now, and I'm going to make a decision. And all of us do that every single day. We make decisions about things that I'm going to prioritize. So something gets, hey, I'm just not going to do that. And I can't do it. Why? Because I value. You shouldn't be saying I don't have time, because I actually have time for 24 hours. But I actually, what I really am saying is, I value this more than that. Do you ever have to tell anybody that about God? Especially on Sunday? I have. Well, we're having this family event, and it's going to be at 10 a.m. Well, I'll be there at 12:15. Right? And sometimes, these are some of the things because you're trying to tell somebody, hey, this is my value. Right? So we got this first group of people that just said, okay, well, first guy says, I just had some stuff, so I really need to. How about the second one? He says, I just bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I'm on my way to try them out. Please excuse me. Same thing Jackie said before, right? Hey, you really bought oxen without checking them out, making sure that they can walk, right? Well, maybe, but what is that one? What kind of area would that hit us in our lives today? Work. That's serious. Because the world that we live in, what's the big thing the society, at least in the U.S.? More with less. More with less. More with less. They cut more people, give the people that stayed more. Oh, let's cut some more because we have some more budgetary problems, and we're going to cut those, and then we're going to oversee that, and then here's some more work. Productivity. You gotta crack the whip. And all that does is shrink God's pot. It shrinks God's pot. More and more and more and more and more and more. You ever have to fight for that piece of the pie? Maybe like you probably did today for Wednesday. Hey, I gotta get out of that work early. Or at some time that makes sense so that I can make it. You guys have already made this choice, right? You already said, hey, this is higher on my priority. It's something I could be doing. I could be doing whatever I'm doing at home. Maybe I just had a rough day. I just need to veg out at home. Me too.
I tell you, it's the rough day that gets me here.
What was that?
It's the rough day that gets me here.
Right?
Sometimes you don't.
And right, because you learn to value this, right? To value this time together. We can struggle together.
I value this time because I have nosy neighbors. They see when I take my mom out, where do you go every Sunday? They go to church, so they say, pray for me. So they start to watch the pattern.
Right.
So
example is key as well, right? So that's one of the things that motivates you, right? And kind of pushes your priority of, hey, look, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for those who are watching me, right? And sometimes those people are outside your house looking in. Sometimes those people are inside the house looking at you going, okay, You know, that work thing, I think that's perfect. That's a perfect one. Right? We had that major competition. And it's one of those, if we keep reading, is that it could actually keep us away from our God. That sounds scary, right? When you think about it, right? Because he says, I tell you that those who are invited will not get a taste at my banquet. The more excuses, the more we squeeze God out of our life. That's what's happening to the U.S. We're squeezing God out of our life. And that's what Satan wants to do. He wants to squeeze God out of our life. Let's get the last one. Verse 20. It says, still another, I just got married, so I can't come. The servants came back and reported to the master. So what about the third one? What is that one?
Well, I would say bring other people and blame somebody else.
So I love that one. That's a really good one.
Blame the woman.
That woman you gave me.
Family obligations?
What was that?
Family obligations.
Family obligations. Right? So now why would he qualify that one? In excuses. Because right, he summed these all up in excuses. Right? So how does that one? Because it sounds real.
Yeah. Right.
I got 3 little guys who you ever met my little guy? You get some time with him, boy. Woo. Get some time with him, boy. You go. Do you guys have rope and duct tape at home? They're fantastic. They wake up. Side note. These guys wake up every day. I love it because no matter how they go to bed, they could be. You're going to bed the night before, and they might get pow-pows going to bed, and they're crying and screaming, and they may cry for an hour trying to get to bed, and then or waking up 10 times because the other one's trying to sleep. The other one hit him, and he's like, he comes knocked up. I'm dead, Daddy, and then whole night, big disaster. Beautiful thing to go open the door. Wow! Isn't that, it's like, I don't know, but that teaches me so much. How much baggage we drag along. Sorry, that was just something that just really been, I've been learning a lot about that one. So, family obligation. Why does it dump down in the excuses category so much?
God says, seek the kingdom first.
Seek the kingdom first. Okay? That's a good one.
I don't know, you're talking marriage, but I'm gonna remember, it was the Jewish customs, what I'm saying, we gotta realize, might be different than what we think of marriage. The customs might be different too, even though we see the kingdom first, even on marriage to marriage, there might be certain, if we read the Bible, there might be certain ways to treat your wife and all that,
Okay.
So,
I'm not sure I'm following why you're saying that.
I know what, he's talking to the Jewish people too. I know marriage is a marriage, but he's talking to the Jewish culture too.
Okay.
So I don't know, what I'm
You're
saying?
saying that there could be some kind of legitimate
Yeah.
associated with marriage, like a certain ceremony or party or whatever.
Like a 2-year waiting period before you start bothering the couple. Something like
7
that.
years old.
I'm just thinking, I gotta remember, realize that he's talking about Jewish culture.
He's talking to Jewish culture.
Yeah,
But I guess what I'm struggling with is when I look at this, right, and I say, why would he throw the married couple in there? It's like, man, I just got married. Can I get a break?
speak for me.
There's like two ways to look at it. For one, you could look at it in the sense of, he's not unequal yoke. So it could be like your spouse is not, your spouse is not in the church. So Sunday morning comes and they are all about, hey, let's do this today. And if you're in a situation where you're working, he's working, and during the week you don't really get to spend that much time together.
Right.
So if your spouse were to say, Sunday morning, let's spend some time together and go here, there's that,
I think that's
so
very good.
I think that's, that might be one reason that they put that.
That's a very good one, right? Did everybody hear that? That's a very powerful one, right? And that's the relationships one. Right? He goes on, we can actually jump a little further in Luke 14 because he kind of touches that. It's not, I think it's like 26 and on, or 25 and on, where he actually deals with it. We'll read that in a little bit, but one of the things that we start to see is that what's closer than a marriage? Some might argue, well, your children, but honestly, when it comes down to it, really, that a marriage, there's nothing closer than a marriage. And as we've kind of said in different ways, is that when it comes down to the competition, who wins? God or people? And I love that example because that's exactly what I was thinking of, which is it comes down to that Sunday morning, and or that thing that God might be calling you to do. Well, spouse says, well, I want to do this instead, and Sunday, but it's just once. Right? It's just once. Can't we just, this is something my sister would always get on me about on Sunday. She'd try to have this thing on Sunday, and, where it's like, oh, well, hey, we want to do this on Sunday, but you're the only one that's not available. Like, you? You're right. And the world, and how does that conversation go? I don't know about, I was interested in how does that conversation go for you when you have a family or some family unequally yoked competition? It doesn't have to be spousal, but sometimes just unequally yoked family where it's like, hey, family says, well, that God thing that you got, you and those church people, why do you love them so much more than me, than us? Why is that so important than our stuff?
I think people, my sister, pointed out to me about my mother's relationship with the other church folks.
Right.
Wow, I love that. Doesn't happen.
And when you try to explain it, it's gonna, it's not even worth it. You just want to squash that argument. But it's like the Bible clearly says spiritual family, and it's kingdom and all that. And so sometimes the blood family, and the Bible will say, family don't get along with each other when it's not Christ's family.
Right.
But it's.
So, I'm interested, like, how do you have that conversation? What do you say? When the family says, well, can't we just do it?
It's only one day.
Just one day? How do you
Say, you come with me to church first, then whatever we need to do later, we can be involved.
Okay.
I think you just let them know. Sunday, like my friends, my family, my family, I grew up in church.
Right.
But my dad's family, some of them went to church, some of them didn't go to church. But all we are available Monday morning through Saturday afternoon. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like,
So you draw hard lines in the
we
sand.
are home Saturday afternoon, no later than 6 o'clock, because you could be in bed by 8, like lest you oversleep. And it was normal. Every single person in my entire family.
Right.
My aunt lived in Washington D.C. for like as long as I've known her. She knew, people knew, don't come, if you're coming to visit, don't fly in on a Sunday, because you might not get picked up. You might not take a taxi. And even after you moved to the States, they knew, don't come on a Sunday, don't come on a Wednesday. You probably won't get picked up, like, because it's a hard and fast rule, like, we're not, there's no leeway. And after, I can't say after a while, it was just, they just knew and they understood. So they knew, like, if they wanted to spend time with us, if they wanted to have like a whole day with us, Sunday, okay, so Sunday we're going to church, then after church we're gonna do this. Like they would plan because they knew where we're gonna be. And I think if we make it like that, if you make yourself hard and fast, like there's no leeway,
Clear
there's
lines.
no going
Clear
around.
lines, right? Don't cross the line.
There is that's the hard rule for me. There's, people, after a while, they won't even ask the question because they know the answer.
You were asking what people say, and some people would turn that around and say things don't make it,
Right.
especially not in the government.
Right.
And you're just being,
How did it happen? Now, I wanted to, that's kind of the thing I wanted to think about is what kind of responses you get and what do you say when you get those responses? Because you might get that you're so rigid.
well, when I first became a Christian, I didn't go to church every single Sunday. I didn't have that commitment. And it was hard because I had already have all these plans all the time on Sunday. Where I became a Christian. So I was used to having Sunday to myself. So it was hard at the beginning. But as I finally realized how much I thought it was and started going more, now I can't picture doing all these other things instead. So it just, I don't know, that would be my explanation. It's a commandment, but it's for our own good. And we see the good that comes out of it. So it's not being rigid.
Right.
It's being Bible, actually. That God told us that.
Right. So your answer is in essence, look, this is something I need.
Right. I
Right.
say that very many times when I think about it. And I say, you're doing the things that are important to you, this is important to me.
Right.
I respect the things that are important to you, and I respect the things that are important
Right.
to me.
Any other thoughts on that?
Most people respect that too, when you put it, kindly but directly. It reminds me of a job interview that I went on, and right up front, before I got the job, I told them, like, look, there's only 2 times during the week that I will never be here. Sunday morning and Wednesday evening. I'll come late other times, I'll do whatever I have to do
Right.
to fulfill my work obligation, but other than that, I've got another obligation. In doing that, that kind of plants a seed
Right.
in their mind too, like, what's that all about? And you teach them in a way, you teach them about commitment by having such a strong conviction too.
Right. Is it not? Because I think everybody kind of said it in the same way. We're saying, look, drawing clear lines. Right. Now the question is something I usually say a lot, which is, one, I just want you to know this is not my line. I didn't draw that line. God did. And same is true with doctrinal things, right? When people try to put you on the political spot, when they start to talk about, hey, same-sex relations. And I say, are you saying that they're bad? It was really hysterical. They had this, oh man, what's his name? One of the religious, famous televangelists and he was being interviewed.
Joel Osteen?
Yes. Did you see it?
No.
But he he was actually in an interview, and they were asking him about this whole same-sex thing. Boy, he was dancing.
I did hear about that though, actually, I think.
He was dancing in his seat, trying not to just, and he was trying to be as political as he could, and try not to answer that question.
So Robinson took
There-
it directly.
But the real answer was, it's not my judgment. It's not mine. I didn't say whether a man and a guy and a guy and a girl could or couldn't. That's not my rules. Now, if you'd like to see the one who actually said those rules, I can show you some stuff
Yeah.
that helps you. And I don't have any other opinion but this one. So if you want an opinion, take that one. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter. Because whether I say it's okay or not really doesn't matter. If I say it's wrong, it really doesn't matter. God's message, God's word is the only thing that really, really matters.
Our word does not change.
What is that?
It will not change. It
That's
does
right.
not change.
Right. So this is, and that's the key, right? This is not a Bible, but this is the etching knife that draws the line. Right? They're not all lines to draw, and they're not all lines to erase. So, and one of the things I think we all said, the reason I'll jump back to this one because we're running out of time, but is that marriage thing is all about, I really think he gets us in that relationship where we're going to be tested. That's where we're going to be tested. And we kept reading until it starts to talk about the cost of being a disciple. And Jesus turns to them and he says, hey, if anyone wants to be my disciple, he must. Right? And then he goes through this whole big thing about some time there. Right? And then he talks about what it means to love him first. Let's take you guys we're all going to have to just read it because I don't have that on the slide. But I wanted us to kind of review that together. But let's go to verse 25 of Luke 14. Because this really hits this one really well. Right? We'll just read this really quick. Everybody there? Yep. He says, now a great crowd accompanied him, and he turned and said to them, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother and his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his cross and come after me, he cannot be my disciple. For which of you desires to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough money to complete it. Otherwise, he will, when he lays the foundation, is not able to finish. All who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. And then he gives another example about a king. But I love the beginning of verse 26 where he says, verse 26 really I was going to ask is, what kind of people are those that he's dealing with there? Huh?
Those that come from Christians.
Verse 25 he's kind of saying this crowd is following him. But what kind of people is he putting in this competition realm in verse 26? Family. Not just family. It's not my distant cousins, right? That I really don't know. Is my mama? Who cannot listen to mama? When mama says it, it's gotta happen. Mamas know that power. Mamas know that. Papas, wife, children. But daddy can't be. Sisters and brothers, so again, staying near. But then he hits somebody who's really, really close. Who's the closest in that crowd? It's ourselves. Do you know the football game is on Sunday? Right? Those things that really draw near to us. So, those relationship things are the things that really challenge and start to jump in front of our priorities of God. So let's keep reading the last last bit here. He says, verse 21. In verse 21 to 24, what was the activity, right? Because this is, as Pat said in the beginning, right? This is about the kingdom of God, right? This, in the context of this parable, we can learn a lot from it, just in our regular walk. But verse 21 to 24, what's the message? What's he trying to get across to us? We learn about excuses, and we learn about excuses that, I don't know about you, but I can relate to some of those. And I can relate to them in different contexts in my life.
You can be replaced.
You can be replaced. Ooh, that's rough. Isn't that rough? Right? Your seat can be taken. That's serious. You had a seat at the banquet, it was allocated, and, when you walked in, you would have saw your little name tag. Whoa, all of a sudden, you go, and maybe you decided, I changed my mind. And you show up.
It's like at the movies. You can be replaced. When people go to the movies, they bought a ticket, you can't get that refund.
Right.
Someone else will take that ticket or fill that seat if you're not there.
That's right, yeah.
So,
Boy, that's a strong. I like that a lot. You can be replaced. That's scary.
So I guess you better show up.
You better show up, right? Do you, when you think about that, just in the things that we were talking about tonight, do you ever come on a Sunday and think, oh man, I better hurry up? Or on your way to Sunday, I better hurry up, otherwise I might not get a seat. Usually we're like, there's plenty of seats. Right? I think about that in the theme of this. Not taking that seat for granted. Because we can take that seat for granted. I think of that when we take communion. Right? You're sitting at the Lord's table. Do I take my seat at the Lord's table for granted? Right? And just reach right into that tray and just start gobbling. Well, what if you aren't invited to the table? Or somebody took your seat. I really like that. So, verse 23 to 24, he gives the servants some guidance. Because we have a seat, right? We've been born into Christ. We have a seat. Okay, great. Cool. I'm in. But what's his message to the servants then? What's the challenge? What's he trying to get across to us? Yeah. Still a lot of seats. Kind of like what they do at the hotels. You're at hotels.com.
Well, they don't have to be the most seemly either. They don't have to be the most seemly looking people.
Right. That's a great point, right? So the first thing is, it's our job to fill the seats. Right? To Brian's point, it's like, well, you don't have to go get the guy in the suit. Right? You can start to look a little bit past the person that has it together. The person that has it together might not be so apt. I'll tell you, in my experience, I always have it wrong. I'll just say it that way. Every person, and I don't know why, God's been there just always teaching me lessons, but I'll be trying to share the gospel with somebody or talk to somebody about something God said in the Bible. And they could be like a group of them, 2 or 3 people or whatever, and I'm talking, trying to, talk about God. And the one that looks like they're more receptive, look like, hey, they're more friendly, they're kinder, and everything else, I'd say I'm almost 100% 100% wrong every time. They're not the one that's interested. The one thing that's been fascinating to me is usually the one with the scowl on their face that didn't look at all like they were going to be even remotely interested, who it took that extra bit of courage out of me to work past that grimace and say something that they're like, sure. And then after they got through the surprise look on my face, it's like, oh yeah, so I'm sorry, yeah, so what time would so but that's been my experience. So you know, they might not be the most obvious ones that we think are the right ones. So I like that point. So that was the main thing that I really wanted to cover. I think and really just us to really start to consider some of the things that we offer up as what we might call reasons why I can't, and start to think about, are they all really valid or good excuses on why I can't? Why can't I help with this ministry or that ministry or ABC? Are they really, is it really just impossible for me to do it? What is it that I value more that says I'm not willing to give up? Because God is just, I just can't do it. I just can't give up this much time to do ABC. And that's, you know, the goal is to constantly look at ourselves and re-examine my walk and figure out how big is the pot that God is going to get out of my life. And try to look at these scenarios and these excuses, because he qualifies them as all excuses. And say, how does that, is there some area that I can relook at this and say, I'm missing, because I'm still offering up some excuses in areas. All right? Any final thoughts? So I don't know about you, but I still feel guilty. So I'm still in the servant category. I'm trying to work. I was very